area.
This meeting is being recorded.
All right. So positions I've held, I've obviously been a club president, the immediate past district governor of 7690. Membership is a huge passion of mine. I've been serving as innovative club chair for 7690, and was also given this opportunity to join the public image team, which I am thrilled to do. I don't know if you guys can see my shirt, innovative club chair, so I'll rep that as much as possible. I was asked to step in and talk a little bit about sort of the relationship between public image and membership, specifically.
Chris, you got unmute.
You're muted.
Okay, I'm going to try some advanced trickery here with sharing my screen. So give me a second. All right. So hopefully everybody can see and hear me. So I'm going to start this off, in maybe a what will seemingly be a curious way. The first thing I'm going to talk about is not Rotary. I'm going to talk about Coca-Cola, which may seem like a strange way to start a talk on membership and public image. But I love business. I love learning about company profiles. And the reason I'm opening with Coca-Cola is, they are it is the largest soft drink manufacturer in the world. They're actually the 30th most valuable company in the world. Huge marketing team. They actually use not only their own marketing team, but more than a dozen outside marketing firms. They spend over $4 billion a year in marketing. And their focus really in their marketing has nothing to do with their product. They don't really sell the taste necessarily of their product. They sell, as they would say, happiness in a bottle. So why am I talking about Coke? They are a 130-year-old company. And you heard that right. We would be hard pressed to think of too many companies that are 130 years old. And somehow over 130 years, they've stayed relevant and stayed in the American consciousness. One figure that really struck me was that Coca-Cola has 90.5% brand loyalty. In other words, once they get a customer, they keep 90.5%. And if you translate that to retention in Rotary, they are crushing our retention numbers, in terms of being able to keep their customer. You have to ask yourself why and how we can, as Rotarians and as Rotary clubs, take lessons from entities that do it better. They are recognized by 94% of everyone in the world. So if you think about that, if you ask 100 people all over the planet, if they recognize Coca-Cola, 94 of them are going to say yes, which is absolutely remarkable. I want to show you guys, and you guys are going to recognize this stuff. This is just, these images are ubiquitous. They're things that, images that you've seen over and over again. You can't beat the real thing. You've got, somehow a beverage that's served cold is synonymous with Christmas. Everybody knows the Norman Rockwell Santa Claus tie-in. They're huge advertising push over the winter. Everybody knows these guys, the polar bears, really cute digital marketing campaign. And we all know, this tagline, taste the feeling, and the feelings that kind of imagery invokes. So rhetorical question time. If we had more time and we could adequately facilitate, I'd throw it out to the audience, but let's just keep it rhetorical for the time being. What if Coca-Cola, instead of messaging their happiness in a bottle, what if they just focused on manufacturing and their delivery logistics and all the things that are super company specific? What if they didn't really pay attention to their public image? I would submit to you that Coca-Cola would not enjoy the 90.5% retention rate that they have of their customers, and they certainly would not have been around for 100 or more than 130 years. So we're going to shift gears and talk about Rotary membership. This point is driven home all the time in membership specific meetings. We have as a zone attrition at about 15.5%. Attraction on average is around 12.1%. And we all know that simply is not sustainable over a long period of time. And we have, unfortunately, continued to lose members. And we know the retention basics. We know that our members must be engaged. Now, translating that to, getting that message across to clubs all over our zone and all over Rotary is of course difficult. We know that member needs have to be met early and often. We know that we have to meet our member needs to network, our member needs to fellowship, and give our members opportunities to serve. We know that, and we know we have to be better at messaging to people that aren't Rotarians yet. Here's some numbers that you might not know, and these are particularly alarming. Now that I'm about to be on the zone public image team. I spent quite a bit of time over the last couple of days just poking around DAC-DB in various districts and looking at the leadership positions and more pointedly the leadership positions that are vacant. Guys, we have less than 25% of our clubs even have a public image chair. I mean, let that sink in for a second. And even at the district level, and certainly at the club level, public image chairs are generally not executive committee level positions. In other words, public image doesn't really have a seat at the table yet. So, my next step in analyzing this was like, okay, if, public image really has the import that we, are told that it does and the focus that it should have, what does Rotary say about it? And so, what this slide is really designed to do is to give us a juxtaposition, or the start of a juxtaposition of what public image is versus what it potentially can be as it could be applied as running adjunct to our membership teams. I think it is safe to say that public image is a developing area in Rotary. In fairness, it hasn't been a huge focus at the higher levels of Rotary for a very long time. I mean, I certainly think that there's a lot of emphasis on it today, but we're still having some difficulty in even defining what the job description looks like. I think there is a lack of understanding of the potential power of the position of a public image chair and a public image team. And our current public image efforts are limited and not really well thought out. I really debated with myself on whether to throw up some images at this point to show some of our club's efforts in public image. And I really decided against it because I didn't want to, call any clubs out specifically. I did want to share, one image that I ran across. It was a club had, their satellite club had an evening meeting, and the photo collage was, it was captioned, fun at our Rotary Club meeting. And one of the images in the photo collage was, a table of people at the meeting, which, that's kind of a normal picture. But what was striking about it was that it truly was a table of grumpy men. It was, everybody had a frown on their face. One of the gentlemen had his face. I mean, this is the image that you saw, was the face in the phone. I mean, that's exactly what you saw. The gentleman sitting next to him, this is what you saw. And I'm not overstating that. I mean, it was arms crossed, face down, and a super grumpy look. And so, what that told me was that, okay, yeah, I mean, this is good. We've got, people taking pictures of the meeting, but we didn't really have someone that was adept at analyzing those pictures and looking at it from a public image standpoint, and saying, to themselves, is this the image that we want to portray to not only our own members that weren't at that meeting, but to the rest of the world? And I think it's safe to say that none of us, as public image professionals, would have been okay with that, being the messaging for our club. And I'm glad I'm not going to show that image, and hopefully you guys got the imagery from what I was able to articulate. So what this sort of journey and getting myself up to speed got me to think about is really an aspirational vision of what it can be. What can our public image efforts look like, and how can it ultimately benefit our membership retention and our membership attraction? So I don't know if everybody knows this or not, but Rotary International appoints 5 regional, AKA zone positions. We all know about our Rotary coordinators. Our Rotary coordinators are, really have their emphasis is on membership. We of course know about our Rotary Foundation coordinators. We now have, of course, Rotary Public Image coordinators. We have Endowment Major Gift Advisors and In Polio Now coordinators. So if you look at this, it's safe to say that Rotary International puts a huge emphasis on public image, but for whatever reason, that has not translated down to our clubs and frankly to our districts either. So what does RI say about public image's job description? It talks about helping members tell Rotary's story in a compelling way and guide them in their marketing, media outreach, and social media campaigns. And something struck me, whenever I was reading this. I think when we're looking at that, essentially mission statement, it gives us clear direction that we're supposed to be, as the public image staff, helping our members in our clubs and our districts do this function. But when I'm at training events, really the way it's couched is more in terms of a personal ask. It's tell your Rotary story. Well, I mean, the unfortunate fact is that everyone in Rotary isn't necessarily adept at telling their Rotary story, as evidenced by a lot of the material that I've seen put out there. So I think the message is that we have to be, number one, we have to staff these positions with qualified people, and then we have to be super intentional with how we tell our Rotary story. It's not just enough to have one, it's how we portray it. So it goes on to say, and I'm sorry how jumbled up this is, this is kind of how it came to us, but it's to share Rotary story and reasonable impact with the media. We all know how difficult that is, to get media to pick anything up. Promote the use of Rotary's online public image resources and brand awareness. Advise clubs and districts on how to implement and regionalize, and publicize the role of Rotary and its members in polio eradication. So those are really good, broad-based directives, but I still don't necessarily think it does an adequate job of saying, okay, what's the position supposed to look like? What do the subcommittees look like? So I poured over just dozens and dozens of club and district and zone resources from all over the United States. And really what I kind of sketched out was, what's the dream structure? I mean, if we had a fully functioning, robust public image in our district and our club levels, what would it look like? And so, this top bar, what that is it's essentially, it's just saying, okay, it's either the district level executive committee, club executive committee, and I think these job descriptions can translate across the different levels of Rotary. It's clear that we need a public image chair. And I think all too often with public image, especially, we've been okay with just staffing it with a chair and then calling it a day. There aren't robust subcommittees. Even if a club does have a chair, there aren't people working as a team to support public image. And so in my estimation, the obvious subcommittees would be folks that are good at graphics. Not just anybody that's going to throw a bulletin together or a one-pager together. And we need people that are adept at social media. Not just people that are going to post whatever, but people that understand how it works. We see very often, clubs have a meeting, and their one post is maybe a shot of the crowd, maybe a shot of the speaker, very static looking, and it's shared on the club's Facebook page, which is not going to get any reach outside of the people that are watching that club's Facebook page. That's it. I mean, there's no coordinated effort to tag or to share, have the individual members share those posts on their own page. Websites, that's another place that public image should be involved in. I will, and I don't know how many webmasters I have on the call, and this is certainly not intended to disparage webmasters, but folks that are adept at designing a web page are not necessarily adept at the content. It's not necessarily going to be presented in a favorable way that's going to stimulate your current membership and attract others. So public image should be involved in the content on web pages. Of course, to the extent that it's available, media and public relations subcommittee, if folks are still doing, bulletins, it's going to be a good idea to have somebody, good from that public image team helping support those efforts. And then, of course, photographic, somebody that's good at photography, good at capturing action shots, not necessarily these, static shots that we regularly see. So in looking at the potential contributions, a robust public image team can prepare quality graphic assets to support club communications, and emphasis on quality. Not just throwing something together, but thinking it through. What is the imagery that we want to project? What are we trying to communicate? Making it intentional. Select and manage social media assets. So again, rather than the photo dump in the example that I provided, having someone from that public image team screen the photographs and perhaps crop or emphasize or enhance it through Photoshop or whatever. I mean, use those basic assets and make them better. And again, as mentioned before, assist with the website and the social media channels, liaison with media outlets, and of course the bulletin and all club communication support. One thing that's heavily underutilized is video assets. If you've been paying attention at all to what's popular in social media, it's Reels and TikToks. And if we're going to message appropriately as clubs and as districts, we've got to get in the game with those video assets. And of course, this one, I'm going to spend quite a bit of time on the next one. And that's providing public image advice and support for service projects and fundraisers. And the value adds for clubs and districts in adopting a more robust approach to public image is it expands the engagement offerings for members. As mentioned before, not everybody wants the admin load of being a club secretary or, dealing with, DAC-DB on membership or, getting involved in the numbers or planning a fundraiser for, foundation. But if you offer to the club members, and talented people around your districts and say, yeah, we need somebody that is good at Canva that can help us with, these graphical elements. Get people that are interested in learning some stuff about, or that may already have some talents in, in video production. All of those sorts of things open up new pathways for our current members to engage. It will absolutely improve quality of club and public facing content. Because right now, if you look at the public facing content out there, it's not good. And that's not only bad for attraction, it's also bad for retention. If you're not delivering a great public image, it's not going to be motivational for your current members either. It will effectively communicate positive aspects of the club experience, as I was saying, to current and future members. And ultimately, what we want it to do is enhance member retention. So I'm going to do a case study here. I was fortunate to be able to be a discussion leader for the president-elects at Carolina's Pets this past weekend. And when I got to the public image section, I was searching for ways to really facilitate that discussion, rather than make it a lecture. And so I just threw it out to the president-elects, tell me about one of your projects and let's break it down in terms of what you did and then what it could look like with a robust public image bend to it. And so, the first example that was thrown out was right out of central casting. It was perfect. It was, one of these little libraries. That's the image that, I have up in front of you. And, when I asked the gentleman to describe, what exactly, they did to get this project off the ground, and to see it to its conclusion, what I heard was, the same story that you would hear from almost every club in North America. And it looked something like this. It was a very typical stage of production. They did a district grant to fund the construction. They solicited their membership for books. They procured the supplies for building it out. They constructed it and placed the libraries. And then they did one social media post showing the results. And the social media post, I'm not going to pick on the club, specifically, but I asked him, what's your club's Facebook page? And we looked it up, we just pulled it up, and it was the very common, that's not the image that I showed you before, but it was very similar to the image I showed you where there was a picture of the library full of books. Great. There was the folks that showed up that day to put it in the ground, standing there, arm in arm. Everybody's seen that picture a gazillion times. And then a really short blurb on what it looked like. Now let's let's contrast that with what that project could have looked like with a really public image slant to it. And what I'm about to show you is really what got pulled out of the facilitation of talking about this particular project. So let's go to that aspirational what if world. So how about when the project coordinator has this idea, the project coordinator meets with the public image team and they simply have a conversation to learn more. The public image team then prepares a graphical one-page explanation to really sell the idea of the project to their own club and to the executive committee, who's obviously going to make decisions on the district grant. Public image then promotes the plan on social media. Now, note that nothing's happened yet, but we can take this opportunity to put out into the world what's coming. So it plants the seed. It puts out to our club members publicly and potentially to people that could be involved in Rotary that this is coming. We then solicit membership and the community for books. What this particular club did is what 99.9% of clubs would have done. They asked their members to bring books. But what if we went out and asked for community partnership? So people that weren't necessarily involved in Rotary yet, we solicit books from them as well. We photograph and video documentation of all phases of construction and placement. So we have a video of our folks at Home Depot shopping for supplies. We have video or pictures of our folks in whatever garage they're in, pardon me, constructing it. And we post these things all throughout the development. Then once it's in the community, we post a video interview of someone that's impacted in the community to show the true beneficiaries and the impact. And then we communicate all of this to our club members in our bulletin, in an email, and at a club meeting. So that is a very different approach. Sorry, I think I swallowed a cat. There we go. All right, but at any rate, that is the, I think that really captures the essence of what a good public image campaign can be to run adjunct to a very cool and a very necessary and a very impactful project. I love this quote that I ran across, whenever I was researching for this presentation. And it said, keeping the member in Rotary means keeping Rotary in the member. And guys, public image can play such an important role in doing exactly that. I'm done with the presentation. I know we got done fairly quickly, and I'm definitely willing to take some comments and questions if you guys are so inclined. And I hope the final message, if you see up here at the top, what it says is elevate. And what I'm asking, to ask from all of you as folks that are interested in public image and hold, decision-making positions in your clubs and districts is take this message back to your clubs and districts that we have to elevate public image if we're serious about membership growth. And, I know that we have some amazing folks that are really, really dedicated to membership, but they need help. The numbers don't lie. With all of the emphasis, 2015, that is the year that we switched our primary focus to membership in Rotary. And we're still behind the curve when it comes to attraction and attrition. I think we can close the gap if we elevate public image. And that's my message to you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Chris. We'll take questions in a minute, Chris, but whoops, can you put your slides back on and back up to the little Rotary box?
Oh, sure. Hold on. Would you want to see the last one
I
again?
want to see the box. It's about 5 slides from the end.
Oh, the job descriptions. Yeah.
No, the box, the library box.
Oh, yeah. I can get
Now,
it.
if you had brought in public image from the beginning, what would you think that public image could do to this box before they even started construction? How could they help? Anybody?
Yeah,
Unmute
maybe make it
yourself.
a little bit more aesthetically pleasing.
Could be aesthetically pleasing.
And maybe
Anybody
put the
else?
word Rotary on it somewhere.
That's an old logo, guys. Does nobody recognize the old logo? I mean, that would be the first thing that they would say is, hey, let's make sure we've got a good logo and what can we make it out of to make it sturdy enough and where can we put it? So we've got something really cool and it's the old logo. And somebody in the presentation here said, what about the club's name? So for sure, put a little bit of more advertising there. Anybody else have comments? Or yes, this will be recorded. We are recording it and Ashley will have it out on our social media, RI Zones, Public Image, PI, I think it is. And it'll be up there probably tomorrow. I want to introduce Joe Peascore. He wasn't there at the beginning. Joe, give a wave. He is another one like Ken who will be rolling off, and he's done a yeoman's job for us. And he is great with video and photographs. Anything else? Any questions? Let me bring up, if I can, share my screen.
And we have a couple people with their hands raised,
Okay,
Billy.
go ahead. Who?
Jim Kirkpatrick has a question.
Go ahead, Hamilton.
And then Carol.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I thought that was a great presentation. And Chris, one of the best things Rotary did several years ago was change the logo to have the word Rotary next to the symbol. So the world knows we're not Buddhists, the wheel of life or some other thing. And then at the same time, they did people of action, 3 words to dispel the usual image of people sitting around a table eating a meal or presenting an award or whatever it might be. And I think what I've found is that the Rotary as a word, a name, many people know it. They see the signs in the towns. It's been in popular literature. It comes up sometimes. What they don't know is have a clue, what is that? You know, and I found that time and again, I think we have brand recognition in terms of a name. It'd be like if people say, yeah, I've heard of Coca-Cola, but they had no idea it was a soft drink. So getting past that, I mean, even myself, I use the example when I used to talk to non-Rotarians, but how many times you've driven by a Rotary sign, and I did the same every day of my life, knowing that it was a service club, but just until my 40s and early 50s, not really until I went to a meeting, I had no idea. I knew the word Kiwanis and Lions, but it seems like for public image, it's still a challenge, the people of action and getting that out so people know what Rotary means. That's a tough one.
Yeah, and every time we put a post out there, it should be a picture of action, should tell what's happening in the picture, and then bring it back to Rotary. Why is Rotary doing this? And then make the ask, come join us. Wouldn't you like to be part of this? Every time you post something. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I come from the newspaper world, so I work with words. And what I would add to your presentation, Chris, is that little mailbox could be a story. You could first post a photograph of the stick in the ground, no action there. And then you could say, this is going to be a really busy place soon. What's it going to be? Put it in a question. Then take another picture in a couple of days that has the box on top of it. Then take a picture of the Rotary symbol on it. You know, sort of stretch this story out. I hadn't thought of sort of advancing our projects like that, but I think that's what people get involved in is stories. And that's what public image really is the story of Rotary, the story of you and me and all of us, why we're here.
Absolutely. Thank you, Carol.
And Carol, you can also take that to not just do it as you go along and tell him that story, but once you have it completed, you can now put all of that together and tell the whole story again. So redo the story and use it in multiple areas like that.
I've just come to realize there's something called a reel. So I'm trying to find out how to do a reel. It is hard for a technology immigrant like me to learn things like that. And Rotary doesn't help much, really.
Well, you're looking at Chris, who is a great videographer, and he knows how to put those still pictures together. And if he can make me do it, then you can do it too, Carol.
Okay, Chris, you're
we
my
can't
man.
have a lesson, but
You're
let's
my
see, we
man.
had Bill, did you unmute yourself and you have your hand raised?
Yeah, I was just going to point out a small thing I think we overlook sometimes in public image. It's a lot closer to home. Is what's your club look like when somebody walks in there for the first time? We have a lot of visitors, potential members we think about, but you also have visitors, maybe somebody comes to hear the speaker or the guest speaker themselves. And there's an interesting statistic in sociology that says when people go to some place like a church, generally within 5 minutes, they've decided already if they want to come back again subconsciously. And a lot of that is, what is this place? Does it look friendly? Does it look professional? And the other example, Chris talked about Coca-Cola. If you go to a Walt Disney World site, one of their big places, there's a vice president for parking. He's a corporate officer because he's the first experience and the last experience you have. And we might think about that as you come in and leave our club meetings also. Just a thought.
Absolutely. If any of you have been watching our map sessions, we have one once a month. I believe it's the second Monday. Patrick, correct me if I'm wrong, Chris. Okay, don't correct me.
Oh, yeah.
We had one recently where the gentleman said, your club should be like Cheers. Anybody remember the bar at Cheers? And the song that says, where everybody knows your name. And that's how you should feel when you come into that club, is that everybody wants you there, everybody knows your name, and they're all glad to see you. If you can do that, what a great thing that is. And then you pull the service in and give them all of them a job. Oh, we have Drew. I'm sorry, Drew, I didn't see you. Your hand blended into your wall.
Yeah, because I've got a lot of stickers on my guitar case. So Chris, I have a question for you. Are you retired?
Am I retired? No, heavens.
Okay,
No.
I have a reason for asking this question. So, Rotary clubs in general are made up of a couple of different groups of people. There are people who have jobs and work for a living and do all kinds of other things and are there as a service arm. And then there are people who are retired, who have a lot more time on their hands and can do a lot of these things that we're talking about. But when it comes to public image, some of the things that tend to happen is the people who are retired tend to be the ones who are less adept at the technology side of things when it comes to digital marketing, to communicating out, to using Canva, to using Facebook, to using Instagram, TikTok, and things like that. We've even experienced issues where people were upset when videos went on social media because they didn't want people to see one person didn't want their employer to see them having a good time in this meeting that their employer was paying for them to be at. And it seems absurd on some level, but on other levels, those are the things, the realities that we have to deal with. And so one of the things that I think we need to do as Rotarians, we need to be focused on getting some younger people in the club who are professionals in their field. It'd be great to reach out to more marketing professionals. I own a marketing agency. I'm the PI chair for our club, but not every club has something like that. But also to be able to bring in the retired members who have more time on their hands and be able to coach them into the things that maybe they're not as up on, that they could actually spend the time and help doing, like going and getting the videos of this project that was going on and trying to gather that content that maybe somebody like me, who is busy running a company all day but has the technical know-how, doesn't necessarily have the time to do. And so we need to be working together as a team instead of, like one individual is in charge of this and they're like tasked with all that stuff.
Yeah. Drew, I'm gonna push back a little bit on the idea that that only retired folks have the time to devote to public image. I'm a case in point, and one of the reasons that I even agreed to be district governor is because I wanted to dispel the notion that somebody that still works and at the time had kids at home didn't have time to do it. And I thought no better way to do that than to be an example of it. And I certainly wasn't the first, but it'd been several years. Actually, our incoming director, Patrick Eakes, who's on the call, he was an example of it as well. He served as district governor and was able to do that with young children at home and all the while he ran his company. And so I actually think that public image is ideal for people in that demographic. There are people that are, there's 20 and 30 somethings that are doing this all day, every day for free for entertainment purposes. I mean, they're putting together robust videos on TikTok and through Reels, and they're doing that as a recreational activity. So, and as far as effectively using graphics through, emojis or whatever. I mean, Canva has enormous libraries. They're throwing this stuff together. They're making memes, and that's really all that we're talking about doing. And I think it's awesome. And of course, you being the marketing guy, you got put in the public image position. And what I would ask you is that on that aspirational organizational chart that I showed you, do you have that? Have you recruited those folks to help you, with your function? Because if you're the public image chair in your club, as I illustrated in terms of the aspirational goals of what that position could be, it's too much work for you, for any one person. I don't care if you were retired or not, it's too much. I mean, that'd be a full-time job and then some. So, we've got to get away from this idea of committees of one. That should not exist in Rotary. There should be no committees of one. So you have to, you really have to build out that team, and make it what it should be, not what it has been.
Well, I think that was part of my point there, was that that we need to be bringing more people in to these committees to work together as Rotarians. Everybody in the club should have a place to belong and a part to play. There should be something for everybody to do. And I think a lot of times people feel like, once they're past a certain threshold, and I'm not saying there's any intelligence level or anything like that, but once they're past a certain threshold, it's like, oh, I can't learn any of this stuff because it's too complicated. But, people can. Another thing that, and this was brought to my attention by City Council here recently, going back to the types of projects that we do as Rotarians, in the community and bringing in public image. It's really great that they made a library box, and I'm not picking on this one club in particular, but did they ask anybody in the community if they needed a library box? And that's not saying they didn't, but I think one of the things that a lot of times we as Rotarians assume we want to do a service project and we forget to check with the people who it will affect whether they actually wanted that project. And if you can work hand in hand with people in your community, then you can bring more people back into Rotary and we can help achieve some of those diversity, equity, and inclusion projects or not projects, but goals that has been set by our Rotary International president by going out and reaching other people in the community and working together with our communities. But
Absolutely.
anyway, that's all
right,
I've got to say there.
Drew. We have community assessment in our global grants, and I wish that more districts would include it in their district grants, because, you know, we've been doing dictionaries, let's say. Well, we finally asked the school if they wanted dictionaries 2 years ago, and they said, really not, we'd rather this. And so we went with that, but really assessments necessary. Jack, we got Jack and then Kevin.
Thanks, Billy. I too am in the market again. I'm a president of a tourism agency. We market and promote all tourism-based business. But look at your clubs. See if they have somebody with that type of background. If they don't, when we're looking for new members, go find those folks that have those skill sets. Bring them in to teach 4, 5, 6, 10 different people some of those things that they can use, and it will make your job so easy getting people trained to help you, and everybody take a piece. Correct about it's a team. It can't be done by one. It just can't.
And Jack, I want to say something to that, because you know, while I definitely think it's good to have a true professional fill a spot, you know, like it's great to have a CPA be your treasurer, right? But you know, Rotary is also about opening opportunities that you might not otherwise have. I am not a marketing professional. I'm a lawyer. You know, we do real estate closings most of the day, but I love technology. You know, I love playing around with video. I love learning video editing, you know, so Rotary is actually, you know, a place where you can try new things. So really to me, it's not as much about finding someone that fits the job description already because it's on their resume. It's about finding somebody that's interested in it and getting, you know, giving them that avenue to
I agree
learn.
with you, Chris. I agree with you 100%. But bring someone in who can teach them. Maybe he doesn't want to be a member, but I bet you they'll come and help you and get these folks trained to make it great in your clubs.
That's a great.
I'm sure
That
of
would
it.
be awesome. Kevin, can we get you to weigh in?
Yeah, I've got 2 points. We've been blessed in my club this year with about a dozen new members, and we have worked hard at club assemblies that we do once a quarter to take time to review all of our committees. What are the opportunities for all of our new members to jump in on? And we've got some that have taken over a couple of our committees that are just doing fantastic jobs. And the ones who've been doing it forever are now able to take a back seat and advise where they need to. My second point is on the little free libraries. Is my club did 7 of them, then we've added another 2 since we did that. Those kinds of projects are ones you can bring up and do another news story every year and get some new kids in front of it. We placed all of ours strategically with partners. It's at banks, at libraries, at the YMCA, in communities where the need was there, where they can't get to the library at all. And partnering is one of the big things that we're trying to push, I know, in our district and in our clubs.
Hey, is it Tyra?
It is Tyra. How are you?
I'm fine.
Kevin, you are a straight man for me. We in my club, which is Tyson's in 7610, have 8 blessing boxes. We collaborate with Salvation Army and senior residences, etc. We did a survey and understood, particularly during the pandemic, people who were homeless needed things like socks and deodorant, etc. So every place we have a blessing box, we've collaborated with an institution in that community to understand what the needs were. That organization also monitors the blessing boxes and contacts us when we need to refill or we need to change what's in there. So what I like and what you said, Kevin, it's an ongoing thing. We have different stories. We can interview some of the people that are being blessed. We have stories of building the blessing boxes. So I think we can take an idea, we were presented with an idea and explode it into a project that you can tell many stories about. And that's all I was going to say. Thank you.
Okay, we're just about come to the end, and I want to introduce to you the team so that you can contact them if you need to. This is the new team starting in July 1, but we are actually working together to prepare to teach district leaders in April in Glen Allen. So of course I'm on there. Dawn could not be here today. Chris was your presenter today. Taylor is in I think Chris's district, but she's in a virtual club. So is Felicia, and Hamilton is right near us in the Glen Allen area. So thank you so much for tuning in today. Chris, do you want to close?
Oh, no, I think I've yapped enough. Thanks so much for allowing me to do this, though.
I appreciate you. It was great. The recording will be up on RI Zones 3334/BI, probably sometime tomorrow. And we appreciate y'all. Good night.
Thank you and good night.
Good night.
No, I want to just, oh, Tyra's gone. I was going to say something.
Okay, I'm
Hey,
looking.
Billy, can you leave the deck open for a second? Marshall's testing something.
Yeah, I'm just stopping the recording.
Okay.